Have you ever looked at her and felt something end inside you without any argument, without any big moment? Nothing dramatic happened. She didn't say she wanted to leave. She didn't confess anything. But the way she listens is different now. The way she looks at you feels polite, like she's present but not with you. Conversations still happen, but they don't land. You talk and nothing really reaches her anymore. And that's when the question starts forming in your chest. Was she ever really here with me at all? Most men are taught that love fades because of mistakes, because someone messed up. But sometimes what fades isn't love, it's the illusion of it. Sometimes you don't lose her, you realize you never truly had her. This video isn't about blaming her or shaming you. It's about understanding that quiet moment of clarity, when the fog lifts and you finally see what the connection actually was. Not to hurt you, but to help you stop lying to yourself about it. There is a very strange moment in a man's emotional life. Not when you argue, not when you break up, but a quiet night when you're sitting alone, looking back at everything, and suddenly you realize all this time, I've been loving in loneliness. No drama, no harsh words, just a low, steady feeling. Maybe I was never really loved. A lot of men only see this after everything is already over, not because they were naive, but because they trusted their own feelings and used them to fill in what was missing in her actions. You loved her, you missed her, you cared, you invested. And because you felt so much, you assumed she must feel it too, just in a different way. But her logic looks at the problem from a different place. Love is not measured by what you feel, but by the position you hold in someone else's life. This is where many men get stuck in a familiar kind of self-comfort. She's not good at expressing herself. She's emotionally closed off. She needs time. She loves in her own way and not always wrong, but there is a very thin line between a different style of love and not placing you at the center at all. And the real question is not whether she's good or bad. The real question is, where are you in her real life? Many men never realize they were never truly loved because they always play the role of the one who tries. You plan. You keep the connection alive. You hold the rhythm. You make things work. While she just has to be there and receive. And because you're used to trying, you start calling that love. But there is a huge difference between I am in love with her and she is in love with me. Her logic does not teach you to accuse women. It does not teach you to become bitter. It teaches you to look at behavior instead of living inside the story you tell yourself. Not, I was abandoned, but I loved someone who never really chose me. You are not a victim here. You are someone who is waking up to your position. And when you start to review the relationship from this angle, you see very familiar patterns. You hold the rhythm. You read between the lines. You wait. You hope. While the other person just stays there and lets you do the rest. No one ever says no to you, but no one ever says yes fully either. And that quiet ambiguity is what keeps a man stuck the longest. In the next part, we're going to start naming the signs, not to hurt you more, but to help you stop lying to yourself. If you've ever sat alone and thought, maybe I've been loving more for a very long time, leave a short comment, I've felt this, or just hit like, so I know you're here. Now, let's start looking at the first patterns. In part 1, you saw this clearly. The problem is not whether she is good or bad. The problem is the position you hold in her life. Now we're going into the first patterns, not loud, not dramatic, but repeated long enough, they slowly trap you in a relationship that only exists in your head. Sign 1. You're always the one trying, and she's just receiving real-life behavior. You're the one who texts first. You're the one who makes the plans. You're the one who keeps the conversation alive. She replies when it's convenient. If it happens, fine. If it doesn't, also fine for her. What's really happening? She's used to you being there, not because she chose you, but because you volunteered to hold that role. The common mistake men make, you tell yourself, love means effort, so you try even harder. But real connection is not a one-way race. Her logic response? No anger, no blaming, just reduce your effort. And observe, when you stop carrying the rhythm, does she step in to hold you? Comment yes if you've been in this role. Sign 2. You're not part of her happiness behavior. When she's hurting, you're the first person she goes to. When she's happy, you're the last to know. You're always there in the dark, but rarely invited into the light. What it means, you're not in her positive life circle. She doesn't think of you when things are going well. The trap for men. You get used to only showing up when she's weak, and you call that being needed. but being needed in weakness, being chosen in strength. Her logic reminder. Someone who truly loves you wants to share both their light and their shadow with you. Your move. Don't force yourself into her happiness. Just notice, when she's happy, are you in her thoughts? Like the video, if this feels familiar. Sign 3. She doesn't place you in her future. Behavior, no shared plans, no us later, no picture of the two of you in her tomorrow. You only exist in the present. And that present always feels fragile. What it means, she lives in the moment, not in commitment. She's not building, she's just passing through. The common mistake, you stay and call it waiting. But waiting only makes sense if the other person is walking toward you too. Her logic perspective. Someone who truly wants you in their life will put you in their future, not leave you to imagine it alone. Your question, no pushing, no begging. Just ask yourself, am I living in her present or only in my future? Her logic is not about being cold, not about judging. It's about observing position instead of drowning in emotion. No need to decide everything right now. No need to cut anyone off today. Just be honest with yourself. Am I being loved or am I trying to be loved? If even one of these signs feels familiar, leave a comment. Does this pattern feel familiar? And come with me into part 3, where things start going deeper into you, not just her. After everything you've just walked through, you're probably not feeling clear. You're feeling heavy, not angry, not sure, just sitting in that quiet space where something inside you starts to ache, but you can't fully explain why. Part of you wants to believe the best. Another part keeps whispering that something has always felt slightly off. And to be fair, none of those moments on their own ever felt big enough to confront. But the truth is, relationships don't break because of one obvious event. They shift because the rhythm changes, because the emotional direction slowly drifts, like a room getting warmer, so gradually you don't notice until you're already uncomfortable. Like a steering wheel turned just a few degrees, and after a long drive, you realize you're nowhere near the road you thought you were on. Or like a low background noise that's been there so long, silence itself starts to feel strange. What really matters isn't what she did in one situation, it's what you started doing inside yourself over time. When you found yourself lowering expectations, when your inner voice kept saying, "This is just how she is," or "Maybe I'm asking for too much." That kind of self-adjustment isn't weakness, it's information, not about blame, not about guilt, but about how your sense of emotional truth was slowly being negotiated away. And from here, the picture moves into a deeper layer. The patterns ahead don't live in confusion anymore. They live in the quiet ways a man begins to lose his center, his direction, his sense of being chosen, without even realizing when it started. This is where many people look back and think, I felt it, I just didn't want to see it. If you've ever been in that space, stay with me. In part 2, you saw the surface signs. Who tries more, who gets included in her happiness, who exists in her future. Now we go deeper, into the patterns that do not just make you sad, but make you lie to yourself so you can stay. The danger is not in her behavior. The danger is this. You start bending your own intuition to fit the story you want to believe. It is like a compass that is slightly off, not completely broken, but not pointing true north either. You are still walking, but you are slowly walking the wrong way. Sign 4. You are always guessing, never truly knowing. Behavior. She is vague, not clear about her feelings, not clear about your place in her life. You do not know if you are her boyfriend, someone she is talking to, or just someone who is important. How it feels. You live in a constant state of reading the wind. One short text, you analyze it. One silence, and you interpret it. What is really happening? She keeps you in the safe zone, but not the center. Not far enough to lose, not close enough to choose. The mistake men make? You live on hope. You tell yourself, she is probably not ready yet. She just needs more time. But real love does not make you guess who you are. Metaphor. It is like walking in fog without a light. You keep moving, but you cannot see the road. Sign 5. She does not protect you in front of others. Behavior. When people speak badly about you, she stays silent. When people disrespect you, she does not correct them. When you are placed low, she does not lift you up. What it means, she does not see you as her person. She does not feel the need to defend your position. The mistake men make, you stay quiet to keep the peace. You say, it is fine, it is not a big deal. But small things, repeated, become big things. Metaphor. It is like being a house with no door. Anyone can walk in and place you wherever they want. Sign 6. She is okay losing you, and you are not. Behavior. When the relationship cracks, you hurt. You cannot sleep, you fall apart, and she stays calm, not angry, not very sad, not fighting to hold on. What it means, you have been investing more for a long time, not just recently, but from very early on. The mistake men make, you tell yourself, she is just strong. She is hiding her emotions. But when you lose someone you truly love, no one is completely calm. Metaphor. It is like a crack in a wall. You fix it from the inside. She looks at it from the outside and sees nothing. The pain is not that she does not love you. The pain is this. You built a whole relationship while she was only passing through. You built a house out of hope. She only used it to get out of the rain. And when the sky cleared, she left. You stayed behind with an empty house. At this stage, many men start telling themselves, at least I tried my best. At least I did not give up. At least I loved for real. That is true. But loving for real does not mean staying where there is no space for you. If you are listening to this and feel uncomfortable, that is because you are seeing yourself in it, like looking into a mirror you did not want to face. If you are here, you are not alone. So many good, deep, strong men have stood in this exact place. And if you want to keep walking with this channel, subscribe quietly. Not because I am right, but because you are starting to wake up. In part 4, we go into the strongest sign of all. And we will flip one very familiar belief upside down. Just try a little harder. There is a moment that many men fear more than anything. Not the moment of rejection, not the moment of being left, but the moment they realize, I was in a relationship where only one person was really in love. You look back and you see you were the one who tried more. You were the one who waited more. You were the one who hurt more, and she is fine. Not angry, not chasing, not panicking, not because she is strong, but because she did not lose what you lost. A lot of men tell themselves, I must not have been good enough. I should have tried harder. I gave up too soon. But her logic flips it here. She did not deceive you. You replaced reality with hope. You were not betrayed. You were trapped inside a story you wrote yourself, a story where you loved deeply, and she was deeply loved. The most painful part is not that she did not love you. It is this. You built an entire relationship while she was only passing through. You carried the bricks. You built the walls. You kept out the rain, and she only took shelter. When the sky cleared, she left. You stayed behind with an empty house. Stopping is not weakness. Stopping is not failure. Stopping is the moment you say, I deserve a love with two people in it. Self-respect is not being cold. It is not punishing anyone. Self-respect is not staying where you are only tolerated, not chosen. And this is where her logic returns. Her logic does not teach you to blame women. It does not teach you to distrust without reason. It does not turn you bitter. Her logic is a way of thinking that helps you. Look at your real position, not the role you assign yourself. Read behavior instead of clinging to emotion. And walk away when you realize you are loving alone. Her logic is not just a channel name. It is a way to love without losing yourself. Before this video closes, ask yourself one slow question. If today you stopped calling this love, what reason would you have left to stay? Not because she needs you, not because you are used to being there, but this, is anyone staying for you the way you stayed for them? If you saw yourself in what we talked about today, leave a comment, just one line, I'm waking up. And if you want to keep walking with her logic, subscribe, not because we have the answers for you, but because you are starting to ask the right questions about yourself. And before this video fades out, let's gently put the focus back where it truly belongs. Not on whether she loved you or didn't, not on whether the past can be judged clearly, but on something quieter and more important, how much respect you are still giving yourself right now. Because the real issue isn't what she felt, it's whether you are still honoring your own worth after everything you've seen. A lot of men carry the belief, if I just hold on a little longer, something will finally change. So they stay patient. They stay hopeful. They stay loyal to a version of the relationship that used to exist. But sometimes holding on isn't love anymore. It's just fear wearing the mask of devotion. And in those moments, letting go isn't failure. It isn't weakness. It's simply the first time you stop arguing with reality and start being honest with yourself. That's where her logic comes in. Not as a weapon, not as a tool to control, and never as a philosophy against women. Her logic is a way of observing without panic. seeing patterns instead of chasing emotional highs and lows. It's a way of staying calm when your feelings want to rush ahead of clarity. And most of all, it's a compass of self-respect, something that helps you keep your dignity when your heart wants to cling to what your eyes can already see. So before you focus on what she did or didn't feel, ask yourself this: are you staying attached to the memory of love, or are you willing to face the truth of what your life is asking from you now? If you've ever stood in that moment, you don't need to defend your story here. You're not being judged. But if you want to share what that realization felt like for you, you're welcome to, quietly, honestly. And if you want to keep your mind clear, your reactions grounded, and your sense of self intact, her logic will still be here. Not to push you, not to pull you, just to walk with you while you stay awake, steady, and self respecting.